Okay, so hello everybody. It is 11 o'clock right now. We're going to definitely get started with our presentation today. Hopefully there will be more people joining us as we go along. The presentation will also be recorded today and will be downloaded to our YouTube channel. So with that in mind, of course, if you have to, for whatever reason, leave at any moment, you can definitely do so. I won't take offense to it, but you can definitely watch the rest of the presentation a little bit later. So for everybody that's joining me today, one of the things that I want to remind you about is that to just, as per everybody's comfort and for everybody's audio experience to be at its maximum, I'll ask that everybody remains on mute. If you have any questions for me during the presentation, I welcome you to post them in a chat, which is that little bubble icon over there. Just hit that and you can definitely post it. And I will be able to answer any of your questions via that platform. So I'm very excited to bring this new presentation to you. Thank you again for joining me today. It's a beautiful day outside, so hopefully this will be a productive hour out of the sun for you for a moment. And of course, what we are planning today is to talk about the trend ingredients. So ingredients to kind of watch out for. In many cases, they are old ingredients, but are becoming new. And in some cases, they will be completely new ingredients for you to take a look at. So hopefully that will be very, very exciting as well. And of course, this webinar is presented with affiliation with Dr. Shramek Products. This is a cosmetic company, of course, that Euro Essential is representing. So we're offering this to you via our platform today. And Euro Essential, of course, is a company that is distributing Dr. Shramek products coast to coast within Canada. So with no further ado, I will take you through today's presentation. Hopefully you will find a lot of the information as exciting as I have while I was preparing for it. I'm really, really glad that I'm being joined by a lot of people today because it is a very, very hot topic, and hopefully you will learn a lot today alongside of me. So why really look at ingredients in such a scope, under a microscope? A lot of consumers have specific questions for you as professionals. For us, professionals have a lot of questions about ingredients or technologies within their products. And so the more you know, the more equipped you are to answer some of those pieces of information, or giving the clients pieces of information that really come straight from the source. So today's information really is all proposed by the skincare company according to their research, and of course according to everything that you are going to be able to propose to your clients. So please remain on mute, just to remind everybody, because that really leads to a better audio experience for all of us. So I will put everybody on mute, and please do not unmute yourself. If you do have a question, post it in that little bubble for me, and I will be able to answer it that way for you, okay? So navigating the skincare landscape can prove to be very overwhelming, both for us as professionals as well as our consumers. It seems that new technologies pop up at an accelerated rate right now. It is really hard for us to keep, the kind of finger over the pulse of the industry here, to really stay on top of everything. But to give it a little bit of, legitimizing and really knowing why we need to focus on ingredients so greatly. Well, it is a huge industry that we work in, with about $382 billion spent on beauty industry yearly. $135 billion of that spent on skincare. That is a lot of money that's at stake here. To kind of give you an idea, an average woman will spend about $200,000 on products within the lifetime. Please do not tell your husbands that. And of course, this will then translate to about 3,000 products that she will be purchasing during her lifetime to use on her skin. So really, this is not a small change. It gives levity to the fact that you need to know what is in those products that you're buying and where really are you spending your money the best. So this is definitely what I'm striving to today, to give you a very informed, consumer-based decision on the products that you are purchasing. So with that in mind, Let me move on and talk a little bit more about Dr. Schrammek as a company that produces skincare products. So why go for a company such as this one? Why trust them? You know, what is it that actually leads to the decisions that they make in terms of what ingredients to include in their products? So I can tell you with full confidence, this is a brand that's been around for 60 years, over 60 years actually right now. With that longevity of success, and we're talking about really a global market success, you cannot undervalue the fact that they do have something to say on the global forum when it comes to production of products. Dr. Schrammek herself chooses products, ingredients very, very carefully. And this, of course, comes from her background as a dermatologist, allergologist, and an anti-aging expert. So she has over 40 years of experience in the field of dermatology. And so when it comes to production of ingredients, you know, rich products, she definitely knows exactly what is it that the skin needs in terms of its treatment. So she always strives to sort of have the philosophy to bring safe, effective, innovative products while adhering to the rules and regulation of global markets, but also making you products that are, you know, definitely effective, definitely safe, and the proven ingredients are being what's included in them. So with that, let's talk about the first trend that is kind of huge. It is still something that you're going to see going forward in the next, you know, God knows how many years. You will definitely be seeing this popping up, and that is, of course, probiotics. So why are probiotics so important? If you know anything from a dietary perspective, of course, you might be aware of the fact that nutritional awareness, especially lately, has been such that we know we have good beneficial bacteria and, of course, the pathogenic bacteria. These two definitely fight each other on a daily basis. So we know this from sort of the gastrointestinal health perspective, but now you're seeing more and more of these ideas being also translated into the balance on our skin. So when you're thinking about probiotics in the scope of skincare, you know that the surface of the skin is literally virtual battle. So battle between the beneficial and the pathogenic type of bacteria, or what we refer to sometimes as microbiota. So skin acts as a physical barrier to prevent the invasion of foreign pathogens, while of course also giving a home to symbiotic bacteria that balance its action, right? So the harsh physical landscape of the skin, okay, it is not easy to live in for any of your symbiotic bacteria. It is actually particularly very desiccated, nutrient poor, acidic environment, but somehow active bacteria that are symbiotic to our skin do actually colonize our skin and become very beneficial in their effect. So I'll give you an idea. There is one specific type of bacteria that colonizes human skin. This is pretty much across the board. You will find it on almost every human being on their skin. This is actually Staphylococcus spp. This bacteria has actually overcome the harsh environment of our skin by becoming halotolerant, which means it actually thrives in an environment which is sweaty, produces a lot of sweat. With sweat, we produce a lot of salt. But somehow, this specific bacteria has been able to utilize one of the products or byproducts of our sweat, which is urea, as a nitrogen source. So it actually utilizes it, colonizes our skin, and becomes repellent towards some of the pathogenic agents. So with that in mind, of course, when you're thinking about the skin being this complex ecosystem, right, this microbiome, you will notice that you probably want to strive to maintain that balance and really have an access to some type of a product or some type of a dietary supplement that can definitely help you along the side of that. Again, if you're asking yourself, okay, so why would I strive to really do this, to maintain this? Well, aside from the fact that our, symbiotic microbiome serves to, battle some of the external invaders, the pathogenic type of microbiological organisms, you also notice that there are secondary functions to this microbiome. And what do? They actually help to balance the H2O. So, of course, the water balance, they help you maintain the moisture in your skin. And, of course, they also assist with the, sweating composition and, of course, with the thermoregulation functions. They decrease also the factors that lead to sensitive skin. So some of them have been shown to have very positive effect in terms of anti-inflammatory action. And the most important part is they also allow the skin to maintain the proper pH. The pH of skin is slightly acidic, which actually accommodates those bacteria who learn how to live in this environment. But this environment is very uninviting to pathogenic type of bacteria and microorganisms. So as you know, maintaining this type of balance is important. And when you're thinking about maybe, you know, how to achieve it, or where does it come from? So let's actually look at that a little bit more in detail. So first of all, where do we get this defense weapon in our life? Where when the skin microbiome actually becomes what it is, so it is colonized by a number of symbiotic bacteria, this actually happens at birth. So as a newborn baby passes through the birth canal, this is when you actually pick up some of the first cultures of this bacteria that will colonize your skin. So of course, from the point of birth, this microbiome is not mature yet. It actually keeps on maturing pretty much well through puberty and until the hormonal balance in the body is achieved. So carried out pretty much towards adulthood. And once you actually turn into be a full-fledged adult, that's when the composition is finalized. Now, you also have to have a little bit of an appreciation when you're talking about microbiotic agents on the surface of the skin with your clients, particularly, to the fact that everybody's composition of this microbiome is slightly different. So from individual to individual, if you were to actually study it, you will notice that everybody has a different proportion of specific bacteria, specific mite content, or even some of the beneficial viruses that live on your skin. And that will also be reinforced not only by individual factors, but also by the environment of the client's life. So wherever these people actually live, the environment will also have a very influential effect. So obviously, when you're now translating this a little bit further and you're thinking, okay, so that's great. I'm balancing this wonderful microbiome on my skin. You know, I am strengthening my protective barrier of the skin. All of that, what else can I actually get out of it? If you know, one of the most probably or the highest rates of inflammatory diseases that have been plaguing our society is eczema. Portion of it has been linked to psychological stress. So this is why, you know, some of the repair mechanism in the skin may be impaired. But in some cases, you know, it's also the kind of hygiene that we, you know, expose ourselves daily. Overstripping of the skin, using different type of agents that really kind of propagate the loss of the natural microbiome that leads to different type of skin disorders. And of course, also, if you're predisposed to sensitive skin, this will also have a very negative effect. So to support the barrier of the skin, you know, definitely there are a few key elements that everybody needs to follow. So we're talking about in terms of our kind of, you know, more of the modern hygiene. We definitely use the type of agents that are a little bit too harsh sometimes, and they do actually interfere with the microorganisms that live on the surface of our skin. So we definitely want to strive to achieve a good balance. So now, of course, there are tips of what to use and what not to use, but what are some of the ingredients that you can actually watch out for in your skincare that will contribute to the balance? If you have somebody suffering from eczema, skin disturbances, if you have somebody who also suffers from acne, another very often observed now inflammatory disease of the skin, look out for ingredients such as Biotilis. So your key ingredient that you have on the listing in the product will be Lactobacillus ferment lysate. And this is actually a product of Lactobacillus bacteria by means of fermentation that is being utilized within the product. So this is actually something that has been shown not only to have a soothing and reinforcing effect on the skin's barrier, but if you notice in vivo studies, so meaning on human beings, any type of products that contain about 2% of Biotilis has been shown to reduce stool, so transepidermal water loss, and accelerate skin barrier recovery. And this is actually something that has been studied even within 24 to 48 hours. So with one single application of the product, a person can already see an effect on the surface of the skin. So very, very good, beneficial type of ingredient. Now, secondary to this ingredient, very often seen in products today, will be something like inulin. Now, you may be also aware of the fact that there are probiotics, but there also are prebiotics. So what the heck are prebiotics? Why to have them? These are actually the food material for the for your beneficial microflora. And what they are, in this case here, the case of inulin, is a chicory extract. And what we get from that, chicory is actually a great source of fiber. And one of the composites of this fiber is the fructose polysaccharide, which is basically an energy source, a food source for beneficial bacteria on the surface of your skin. So if you notice, we not only balance the skin in terms of pH, in terms of support of the microbiome, but also feeding the microbiome. So you do have a really kind of spectacular overall action from these two ingredients as they work in synergy together. So with that, a couple of the products that you can actually see these type of ingredients in is the Probiosense, which is a day and night care from Dr. Schrammek. And this one is one of my favorites, actually. I offer it to clients almost with any skin disturbances, being eczema, psoriasis, even in some cases acne, as I noticed some people had a fantastic effect on the skin in terms of kind of mitigating, papules and pustules, so the most inflammatory type of acne lesions, and it really does promote the healthy effect. So not only retention of moisture, skin looks healthier, looks brighter. It really does have a super beneficial effect. Easy to consume for any skin type, as this product really does, maybe not at the very beginning of application, but eventually it does actually make its way completely into the skin without leaving any unpleasant film or anything like that on the surface of the skin. So I do suggest this product not only for those categories of your clients, but also in recovery from more of the pro-inflammatory treatments within a treatment room. So if you're thinking about, I mentioned, modern hygiene, people using harsh detergents to clean their skin. Of course, now more than ever, I would say, in those situations, definitely you can utilize this product, but you can also think about what is it that we do sometimes in the treatment room that can also cause disturbances to the skin's barrier, therefore disturbing the microflora of your skin. And of course, microneedling, laser treatments, peels, those type of, treatments will definitely have that type of an outcome. And this is actually where you can offer your client Probiosense as a recovery product after these type of services. So definitely keep that in mind. It may come handy. There may be even a client who is specifically looking for a product including probiotics. So always keep in mind this specific product, because you can retail it to your client. Now, from a more of a traditional sort of, perspective of what would we include in a treatment, even if we're talking about treatments such as microneedling or laser treatments, peels, ablative treatments of any sort, one of the things that we always offer to sort of recover from the active part of the treatment is to offer your client a mask. We've launched the Probiocellulose Mask into the market at Your Essentials about 2 to 3 months ago. And it actually has been quite successful. I know that we are presently not working in a lot of the areas, but I still see clients actually purchasing this product, which means maybe they are into some degree retailing a single mask to their clients, which honestly, under the circumstances, I don't see a lot of problem with. But what this mask is, it is a biocellulose-based mask. So that means that it has some definition of occlusion. Biocellulose, actually, aside from the fact that it is a very fantastic material for us to infuse the treatment, the beneficial ingredients into, one of the things that you can also kind of address your clients is completely biodegradable, because it actually comes from fermentation of coconut water. That's where the biocellulose is actually obtained from. Then it's obviously processed and pressed into a mask, which fits the skin and carries very, very very effective amount of ingredients. So by occlusion, of course, you're creating a situation where the ingredients penetrate the skin deeply and, of course, do have a desired effect. So in Probiocellulose Mask, in this situation, we, of course, have a mask that is enriched by biotilis and, of course, also has a soothing effect because of its cool kind of texture. It also enhances hydration, again, because it carries quite a bit of water-based materials. So really, really spectacular mask to use after any type of pro-inflammatory treatment or for clients who suffer from skin disturbances. So one other thing that I can kind of sell you with this mask is also you can use this mask in affiliation with different type of modalities, and that is ultrasound, which this mask can actually be utilized. Ultrasound one can be applied right to the surface of the mask, or even in some cases microcurrent can also be used. So if you have any questions about this specific mask, do reach out to us. We will give you the full monograph as to how it works and what's in it. Now, extra tips that you can also share with your clients aside from just, selling them a product with a probiotic. How to preserve the natural microflora on your skin. There are the obvious things. So if you're using, for example, an antibacterial or very harsh agent on your skin, you may want to stop, because especially antibacterial cleansers can be quite disruptive to our microflora. Obviously, being antibacterial, they don't really differentiate between the harmful and the good bacteria. They will sort of neutralize all of them. So we want to make sure that unless you are working in an environment that you're exposed to pathogens on a daily basis, there's really no need to use an antibacterial cleanser. Now, avoid frequent use of harsh exfoliants. So this is another thing that a lot of the times clients sort of overdo, I would say. We encourage them to exfoliate, of course, but it has to be within a reasonable limit. And unfortunately, a lot of our clients overstrip their skin by over-exfoliating the skin as an effect of use of some of these agents. The other great tip would be to also limit the amount of time that you spend in a shower or a bath. And of course, another thing too to look at is try to avoid hot showers, especially. That is a situation where a lot of clients, sometimes do like to de-stress, sit in a bath, or maybe in some cases do have a situation where they have a hot tub with high chlorine content. All of this can be quite disturbing to the microflora. So definitely limiting the time spent within these type of environments will benefit your skin. Now, I'm not a dietitian, but this is through my research. I've come back through some of these tips as well. So to kind of enhance the gut flora will also be very beneficial to other areas of your body in terms of their microflora balance. So eating, especially fermented foods, which are really a part of dietary, kind of daily dietary, requisites within a lot of different ethnicities. I'm actually Eastern European, and I can tell you that I grew up on fermented foods. So that is something that I enjoy. But kimchi, kombucha, miso, kefir, sauerkraut, sour pickles, those are the type of foods that you can also encourage your clients or even yourself to consume in order to also maintain the better gut flora, because these are also going to bring in some of the lactobacillus components to it. So that is one of the probably most exciting trends in terms of ingredients, looking at probiotics. Definitely something that will stay for a long period of time because it is quite effective. But of course, we're also talking about ingredients that can have some active effect on anti-aging in the skin. And with that, of course, we're looking for substitute to things like Botox. And I know there's a lot of ingredients that have been sort of under a microscope. A lot of people are really, maybe it's not that effective, or maybe it won't work. But remember, research doesn't stop. Cosmetic researchers within the cosmetic field, they're finding new ingredients, better ingredients. One of the ones that has been kind of making its way is a paracress extract. This in your INCI listing will be recognized as a Camellia oleracea extract, and it is a wonderful source of spilantol. This ingredient is an all-natural compound with analgesic properties. So if you notice, what the heck is paracress? Where does it come from? Well, paracress originates from Indian Ocean region, so has been used in especially Indian cuisine or Ayurvedic medicine for a very, very long period of time. It has also been used as a muscle relaxer and, of course, as a kind of a mood adjuster in some areas of the world. So on its own, if you were to actually consume the plant, you will notice that it has a very intensely spicy flavor. But for, like I said, in kind of a folklore application, medicinal application, it also relieves probably, one of the more common ailments, and that would be a toothache. So what is it? So spilenol actually has been shown at about 1.2% kind of concentration in the product as a gentle muscle relaxer. So many companies are looking at it to sort of, add it as that natural Botox effect. And that has actually been shown to have effective work against some of our probably most bothersome points of aging, which is really, whenever you have muscle relaxation or muscle contracting, you will develop the first signs of wrinkles. So when you're thinking about, okay, what can I use? I don't want to use conventional Botox, or what can I use even aside from natural, conventional Botox or Dysport or whatever it might be. These type of ingredients become more and more popular. So what we want to see actually in terms of this ingredient for it to work the best vehicle for delivery of this specific compound is actually a quickly absorbing product. So for Dr. Schrammek, for example, you will see that that is indeed the Moisture Plus ampules is where you're going to find the highest amount of spilenol. And this product is very widely actually suggested to be used around the eye contour and around the mouth contour, aside from the fact you can use it, of course, in other areas for that pure hydration level, but it does deliver the substantial amount of spilenol for muscle relaxing effect as well. This is also composed together with a short chain hyaluronic acid with very low molecular weight, so it can penetrate very, very quickly, bringing the active ingredient deeper into the skin. And essentially, that's something that may even penetrate towards the muscle. And of course, it's also supported by cross-linked hyaluronic acid, which acts on the surface of the skin as a sort of visible reducing agent towards the wrinkle depth and distribution. So fantastic product. I know that many people, when they first see it, they're just kind of, oh, this is a hydrating ampule. It's a hydrating ampule, but it also is something to treat very effectively the first signs of aging, which is lines and wrinkles. Okay, so that is an ingredient and a product that is worth remembering for those clients who are looking for that specific effect. Now, one ingredient that is not new, but it continues to sort of make waves in skincare because it is so multi-plethora effective, is vitamin B3 and particularly niacinamide. We also very often refer to it as nicotinamide. That is the actual chemical compound that we formulate with. This is actually an ingredient that has been shown to have, like I said, a plethora of different type of effects. First of all, it improves hydration, and it actually has been shown to work on cellular metabolism. So it speeds up the turnover of the epidermal tissue, leading to a clear complexion, of course, a more youthful appearance. This is actually also an ingredient that is vital in production of proteins in the skin, so especially keratin, and even the behavior of the keratinization of the skin can be regulated when exposed to niacinamide. So that, of course, encourages desquamation and also enhances the prevention of transepidermal water loss. But one of the most important parts of this ingredient is the fact that it inhibits melanosomes transfer. So that means that the little particles of pigment produced by melanocytes really have a hard time reaching keratinocytes where they then develop epidermal pigmentation. So hyperpigmentation, that is. So that is where niacinamide has been really for many, many years used and proven to be extremely effective. But we actually are now recognizing there are several other ways to utilize niacinamide, or where niacinamide can show some effect. And when it comes to immunity of the skin, so again, going back to products that maybe continuously are produced with biotin or inulin, so to support the kind of natural microflora, niacinamides are very often used in there as well. And they actually are used for the fact that they do encourage production of keratin. So that kind of physical barrier in the skin is strengthened from that perspective. They have also been shown to have a very positive effect on ceramide production. Ceramides are one of the main composition of your lipids, so the more external fat, kind of, water repellent part of your skin's natural barrier. That is also something they help with. They also minimize blotchiness and redness. They also help to regulate oil, therefore also relieving some of the effects of, stage 2, 3 acne. And also, so this is a little bit of a newest research, but kind of keep you keep you guessing and wanting a little bit more. In the next couple of years, probably we're going to see utilization of niacinamide a little bit more in the area of anti-aging. So new research actually shows that niacinamides can help wrinkle reducing, and they can also kind of battle the oxidative stress of daily exposure to sunlight, which is one of the probably most damaging effects of environmental sources. Niacinamides can have a very mitigating effect on that as well. Now, this is new research. This is not something that has been yet proven or substantiated, but watch out for that, because that is probably going to be very visible in the future. So where can we find a good concentration of niacinamides, typically of 2% or higher? We're looking at Hydra Maximum Night Cream, which actually we use it there for recovery of barrier. In daytime, a formula for time control, which is anti-aging, firming. Again, it is used as an anti-inflammatory agent here to help with some of the effects of glycation and other type of negative effects of the aging process. And then finally, for regulation of pigment distribution, we're looking in products like Mela White. So Mela White Night Cream has a high concentration of niacinamides. So does the Mela White Active C Serum, and even Mela White Gel Mask, which we encourage our clients to use in association with skin pigment regulation on pretty much weekly basis. So those are the products that you can find the most amount of niacinamides. We, of course, have some niacinamide present in our regulating care as well. I didn't want to bring too many products out on a board here, not to confuse you, but that is also a source of niacinamides that you can find. Now, in addition to this, of course, we are looking into the next generation of ingredients that are from the anti-aging perspective. So some of you might have watched my presentation of Ageless Future, which is a new range of products from Dr. Schramek. This ingredient was mentioned there a little bit more in detail than I'm going to be able to give it to you today. But I will summarize all of the most important points. So Olea Vitae is an award-winning ingredient. It is now recognized actually by both the medicinal as well as the cosmetic field as a cellular oil. It's really the world's first cellular oil. And when you're asking yourself, what the heck is cellular oil? I was asking the same question, so no worries. I will come back to that and I will revisit this idea. But just keep in mind the word cellular oil. Now, cellular means that it's derived from a cell of a specific agent. In this case, actually, we are reaching for the olive fruit. And when we actually express this specific ingredient from is the cell membranes of the stem cells of the plant. So I know this is a mouthful and it's kind of like, what just happened? But just trust me, it is a newest, most exciting technology that I myself even have seen coming through the woods in some years now. Now, what does this specific cellular oil do? One of the main kind of effects of what it does, it stimulates mitochondria. For those of you who are wondering what mitochondria are, there are the little powerhouses, little tiny organelles within your cells that produce energy. Now, unfortunately, the start of aging, very often is the fact that the mitochondria either become more dormant, they don't produce as much energy, or they're just not as abundant in the cells, due to effects of obviously prolonged exposure to environmental agents and so on. So why do we want to get this cellular oil right from the cell of origin, which is a stem cell? Well, we like to do that because stem cells, even in medical field, have been studied for their unsuppressed biological effects. So they have a higher potential than any other cell of a mature plant. So we go to the little tiny undifferentiated original cells to get this extract from, which makes it very, very eco-sustainable as well, as you can reproduce stem cells very easily, and so that we don't have to always reach out to the ecological plant, in its own habitat all the time. We can actually do it in a lab very effectively year to year. So we actually like this cellular oil because of its specific benefits. So when you're looking to find out a little bit more information about it, you're looking at what conventional vegetable oils we have used in the past and what's the difference between the two. So conventional grade vegetable oil, in this case, we're going to focus on where we get the cellular oil from, which is the olive fruit. The source material obviously is the olive plant. The origins of them, so where we express the vegetable oils, are typically seeds, leaves, and specifically when it comes to olive, it's the fruit. Now, what we obtain from that, we obtain fatty acids, so triglycerides. When you look at any basic product out there, whether it's a moisturizer or a cleanser specifically, you will see that one of the highest concentration of ingredients will be your triglycerides, because they are fats. They contribute to the barrier function, and they can also be carriers of fat-soluble substances such as vitamins, or certain forms of acids are also water-loving. So we actually specifically do formulate with this type of oils. So these have been in operation for a long period of time. We've had them in products. They still really are the main substances that we will find in oil-based products. Now, one of the things that you will see that's new is the cellular oil. So those mitochondria kind of communication type of oils. They come from the stem cells of the olive fruit. They are extracted from the cell membrane itself. So just have some appreciation here for even the science behind it. That's not easy to accomplish, but somehow they are able to do it. And what we get is a specific type of lipidic raft, which is recognized to us in biology and physiology as signaling lipids. So biological function of that is not only cell control, material transport, but most importantly, cell communication. So that's when we enhance the work of the mitochondria to keep the batteries of our skin supercharged. That will, of course, now relate to a very, very specific effects in the skin. And this is something that has been proven by application of this ingredient, and that is regulation of collagen synthesis, as this, mitochondria are in every cell, including fibroblast cells, which are our producers of collagen and elastin. So we do have that improvement of mitochondrial density within the cells. So you have more of those little factories of energy within your cells, and also proliferation of fibroblasts. So the cells that produce collagen, elastin, that kind of become less and less abundant as we age. Now they're actually producing more and more, and they also are present in more numerous numbers. So that is some of the things to really kind of remember. Aside from that, of course, it increases antioxidant activity as the output of the cells is greater. And one of the most important thing is it comes into mind when it comes to glycation. This is more advanced situation of aging where there is an active breakdown of collagen and elastin. So glycation is a process of breakdown. And here we actually have that increased anti-glycation activity. So absolutely phenomenal ingredient. It is one to really sort of watch out for. I see more and more products out on the market that feature this. Dr. Schrammek boasts to be one of the first skincare companies to really utilize it to its fullest and really focus on it. Now, one ingredient that's been around for a long time and it is not going anywhere is retinol. But as you know, use of conventional retinols, of course, is great. It can significantly change the skin or the way that the skin expresses itself. But many clients cannot tolerate retinol, especially at a higher dosage, because it comes at a point of retinization. So this is a situation where retinol can disrupt some of the lipidic production within the skin. And of course, that leads to irritation and other type of problems. So companies are very, very actively searching for substitutes for retinol. And one of those substitutes that becoming more and more visible is bakuchiol. Funny name, I know. It comes from a plant, from an Indian bapchi plant. And it is actually the seed of that plant that we get the extract from. Now, it has been used as a healing agent for many, many eons now, either in Ayurvedic medicine or traditional Chinese medicine as a herbal detox. That's actually how I came to know bakuchiol first, because I've been dabbing into the traditional Chinese medicine myself. And I can tell you that the effects on the body are tremendous. But when it comes to the skin, you're going to notice that this is actually a first substitute to retinol, which is actually recommended by Society of Dermal Pharmacy. This is a multi-international body that actually regulates some of the access to new ingredients. And they actually do very actively promote this ingredient for many, many effects. So it does have a very strong antioxidant or regenerating and anti-inflammatory effect. So those are all the things that we probably already know. It kind of has the same mechanism of action as retinol. So there was actually a study with bakuchiol, and I'm going to bring it up on the next slide here. Whoops, actually, hold on a second. Here we go. So there is actually an evidence of very, very effective sort of work of bakuchiol when the study was performed. The clients or the participants of the study were using about 0.5% of bakuchiol extract for about 12 weeks. The study was also kind of comprised, or the data were tabulated from photographs and using of analytical systems like software-derived kind of analysis. And the data was combined at 0, 4, 8, and 12 weeks. And actually, one group got retinol, another group got bakuchiol. And when they actually comprised the data at the 12-week point, there really was very little difference between the effects the clients got from conventional retinol and from bakuchiol. So really kind of substantiating the fact that bakuchiol has the same effect as retinol. But this is where it gets very, very interesting. It is not an agent that will cause any form of irritation in your skin like conventional retinols. A client will have to go through a period of adjustment, right? Most of the time that period of adjustment ends and the client's skin kind of returns to a normal balance, but it is quite disheartening to a lot of clients to go through the process of retinization. The other aspect of bakuchiol, which is absolutely fantastic, as you know, retinol can only be used at nighttime because it is not a very photostable ingredient, and it also causes photosensitization. Bakuchiol has none of that effect. So that is, again, something that substantiates its use in conventional skincare. Now, we also found, and this is something that the research sort of that came out of the previous studies, the researchers now are actually showing that in some cases, bakuchiol has a better than retinol effect on slowing down activity of two major metalloproteinases in our dermis. So those are enzymes that cause the breakdown of the matrix of the dermis, and especially when it comes to MPP1 and MPP12. So those are from the elastase and collagenase group of enzymes. So really, really exciting ingredient. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be seeing this more and more often in different type of skincare. Now, one more ingredient that is not new, but again, research strives to really modulate it to, or strives to deliver it deeper into the skin in better format, more reliable. It is definitely hyaluronic acid. So that needs no introduction. Now, where companies are going to right now, one of the newer technologies is this Neo-Oligo hyaluronic acid. So what the heck is that? This is actually a super micronized hyaluronic acid. So we're looking at a molecular weight of 20 to 50 kilodaltons. Those are tiny, tiny little molecules of this agent that can really effectively contribute to the matrix of your dermis. So this has nothing to do with even the dermal filler on the surface, but rather from the bottom of your skin. So how do we actually now deliver this type of hyaluronic acid within this specific ingredient? We encapsulate it in a little vehicle called Niosome. Niosome is a hydrophilic agent, so you can actually emboss a type of a water-based material very easily and stabilize it. And it is lipophilic, so lipid-loving on the outside. Whoops. I jumped the gun here. So what that means to you is that when this ingredient hits the surface of the skin, it can melt into your lipids. It can very easily overcome the barrier of the skin, bringing the water-based material deeper and deeper into the skin. Now, it doesn't end there. There's also within the membrane of the niosome, so this little tiny micelle here, you will also notice there is secondary ingredient called camphorol. Now, camphorol is used to protect the hyaluronic acid against degradation as it enters the skin. So again, a super smart system, super innovative type of delivery deeper into the skin. That's why a lot of the times now the cosmetic chemists actually dab this ingredient as dermal filler, because it can be, and watch out for future, maybe we'll have substitutes for something like injectable fillers. Maybe we'll be just able to put a product on and have the same effect. So we really delivered this very smartly deeper into the skin, causing more of a plumping effect. This is also a type of technology that is now used or looked at in delivery of micronized drugs. So even in medicine, this is something that's being looked at very effectively. So when you're thinking about what substantiates these type of claims, of course, we're looking at in vivo studies. So again, studies in humans over 4 weeks of use of Neo-Oligo hyaluronic acid. And with use of that, we noticed that reduction of wrinkle length was about 57%. The total number of wrinkles was reduced by 37%. And dermal density, so that kind of a very sort of fine network of collagen, elastin, the hyaluronic acid, which is really a component of the liquid part of dermis, was increased by 54%. So absolutely fantastic effect. I've actually had been using the products now for a while that contain these 3 ingredients. And I cannot say enough about it. It is absolutely fantastic. It's one of my favorite launches of products of Dr. Schrammek in the last, I would say, 10 years. It is that effective, and really you see the effects from the moment of first application. So what we have here is we have Ageless Future Serum, which has the highest concentration of all of those ingredients that we mentioned. So your Olea Vitae, your Bakuchiol, which is the retinol substitute, as well as the hyaluronic acid ingredient we just finished talking about. So that is what you're going to find the highest. And of course, that is also sort of compassed together with daytime cream and a nighttime cream for the best product application. So keep those in mind. They are definitely going to be quite exciting going into the future. So the other ingredients that I'm kind of keeping an eye on pretty much regular basis. This is not something that is featured in Dr. Schrammek skincare just yet, but something that I really want you to be aware of is adaptogens. So we have heard about the very, very great effects of adaptogens as natural stress killers. So we're not talking about necessarily just psychological stress, but also biological stress, right? So things that happen to the skin on a daily basis, being attacked by free radicals, or even effects of psychological stress on the skin can also be very prevalent. So these type of substances tend to not really mask the problem, but rather go to the problem source and kind of restore the balance. So for example, reduce redness very actively. This is something that new research actually is showing to us. So from the cannabinoids class of adaptogens, we see that 2 substances become very, very evident to have some effect on human body or skin. And that is, of course, CBD, which is a non-psychoactive substance, and it is actually very often seen in products in North America now from hemp. So that is the source of it. We also do have THC. Now this one is a little different. This one actually has psychoactive properties, and it's typically avoided in any type of products that are sold over the counter for skin. But some of people out there who suffer from acne, psoriasis, dry skin, or other type of skin disturbances, they actually have been using CBD rich products and have been noticing effect of anti-inflammatory kind of balance. Now, other ingredient that probably will be very visible in the future is Cherimoya. Now, this is an ingredient that comes from this kind of apple-looking fruit. This is actually a superfruit of the Incas. And it also has been shown to have a very high concentration of CBD. So a lot of the skincare companies out there have been reaching out for this super bioavailable ingredient to extract some of the CBD content and put into their creams. Now, one of the things that I want to mention is, yes, Dr. Schrammek definitely doesn't produce with CBD just yet, and it has to do with the fact that being a worldwide company, you want to make sure that you can distribute your products to a variety of different markets. So obviously this wouldn't be a problem in Canada. Here we have access to CBD without prescription, without the need for any interventions. But there are markets in the world where this is still a very controlled substance, and therefore, Dr. Schrammek definitely is looking on not including it in their product anytime soon. But it is interesting. It is thought-provoking, and I thought I'll include it in here, even for that sheer benefit of stimulation to our brains. So now let's talk about another trend. Now, this is not a trend in terms of ingredient, but rather hybrid cosmetics are more of a trend of a product, right? So looking at a sort of a vehicle or a product that can do more than one function. And that's becoming more and more evident in skincare today. I think companies want to, attract consumers that are a little bit more on the go, that are looking for a product to do more than one function for them. And in this case, actually, in terms of Dr. Schrammek, we do have a product that is a skincare product, but also has a multifunctional effect, because they can be a trendy color shade product, which then also will give you some camouflage effect. So obviously these type of products, which now completely exploded on the market. Coming back to the history of the company, Dr. Schrammek was the first company to ever produce this type of product in 1967. That's when they launched their Blemish Balm, and it was a hit, and it continues to be a hit, and it continues to be the #1 selling product within our range. No kidding. That is how it is. And of course, we do offer it now in 2 different formulas. So we do have the Blemish Balm in the cream formulation, in the regulating range of our product, which is definitely the more popular formula. And I have to say it probably comes from the fact that it does give you a good amount of coverage, but we also have it available for drier skins, skins that are a little bit more delicate in nature, and that is in our Perfect Beauty Fluid in the essential range of product. So with variety of shades, of course, you will be able to find something there that really works for all of the clients out there. So a quick worthwhile mention of hybrid cosmetics. A really, really interesting idea, and I think we're going to be seeing more and more of that in the future. And for the last little bit, I wanted to leave you also with interpretation really of the kind of trend number 9 here, which is light protection. And I chose the word light protection very carefully here because very often we talk about UV protection, right? So we're talking about UVA, UVB. But we also sometimes now are trying to realize that visible light spectrum can also have a negative effect on the skin. And that is, very often something that we look to mitigate for clients with hyperpigmentation. So just to sort of, think about why would we need to talk about UV, exposure. Obviously, as we find out more and more about how UV radiation affects the skin, we become more aware that sun protection will become a very, very important part. We tell our clients pretty much, I feel like a broken record sometimes, yes, you need to wear an SPF, even if you're indoors, even if it's not so sunny outside. UV radiation is present all the time, right? Even indoors from some of the fluorescent light bulbs that we are exposed to. So there are a lot of myths about sunblock, and consumer choices are really, very much influenced by a lot of anecdotal evidence and whatever suits the company at the moment. And I want to be very transparent here. I'm not, trying to negate anybody's approach. I'm sure that a lot of skincare companies have a reason for doing things that they do, but I just want to kind of clearly cover all of this very, very easily for you so that you understand. Different companies have different take on it, and that actually depends most, largely on the market location. So, for example, in some of the countries out there, like, the Asian markets or European markets, the availability of different sunscreen ingredients is greater. And it has to do with how these countries actually deal with keeping tabs on what's being put in the product. So, for example, in many of the countries that I just mentioned, so countries in Asia, countries in Europe, they look at sunblock as a cosmetic ingredient. This is not the case in North America. Both the United States and Canada look at sunblocks as drugs. So that leads to a lot of I would say hurdles for skincare companies in order to sell the products with the sunblock, on the bottle. A lot of European countries really, really struggle with that. And they bring the products to the North American market. It becomes always a really, really difficult task. But in general, what type of group of sunblocks do we have? And you're very well aware of this, but I'm going to give you a little bit of extra nuggets here. So there is two really primary agents that act as sun blocks or SPF components. One is the chemical agent and one is a mineral agent. I'm going to give you a quick overview of pros and cons of both. So again, I'm not taking sides here. I'm just raising awareness. You can make your own decisions once you're well, aware of what they're able to do. So the chemical agents that we actually have very much available in our formulas, if the pros of these type of agents is they actually are much more preferred by chemical or cosmetic chemists because they do offer them wider variety of ingredients to pretty much put into the products. And of course, they also give you a variety of different type of protection. So by formulating with several different chemical sunblocks, the chemist can really achieve close to 100% protection for you. And that is what they strive to accomplish. Any reputable company will be trying to give you the best of the best. So most consumers, this is attractive to them from a perspective of the product texture. It's very easy to put in chemical sunblocks into a product and make the product quite attractive in terms of formula, in terms of, how well it absorbs into the skin. It doesn't leave a film. It doesn't leave a cast. So those are the things that consumers definitely look for. And sometimes this is also related to the smell of the ingredients. Now, the cons of using chemical sunblocks, if you do have a skin that is a little bit more sensitive, by the virtue of how these blocks work, which means that they absorb into the skin, which is really not an issue, and it's been dispelled. They do not cause any leakage into bloodstreams or anything like that. But one of the things that they do is they actually activate on the surface of the skin, and they do it by absorbing UV radiation and then dispensing this radiation as heat. So you can imagine if somebody does have a very sensitive skin, this can come at a point of irritation. These type of skins do not tolerate heat very well to begin with. And they do actually very often will say that, if I put this sunblock, it actually burns my skin. I don't like it. This is why. Okay, so many companies out there have been actually looking at combination of mineral and chemical agents to extend the more reliable protection, which these agents actually absorb into the skin and stay in place. So there's no way of moving them around, but also giving you the mineral protection to be more suitable for sensitive skins. So that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish, in many of the products that I will talk about. Now, another thing too, that is a lot of the times the con against using chemical sunblock is that you do have to put it 20 to 30 minutes prior to exposure to sunlight. So that is a lot of the times consumer will say, I just want to put it on and leave, right? I don't want to wait. The the main issue with that is that this product actually needs to absorb into the skin well enough that it offers you a full protection. So that is why the wait period is actually given to you. Now, when it comes to mineral sunblocks, typically the two ingredients that are mentioned is zinc oxide, titanium dioxide, and in some cases nanonized, so micronized titanium dioxide. These are the favorites of cosmetic chemists. They are, of course, naturally occurring oxides of metals. They kind of work like a mirror on the surface of the skin, where they, whenever you're exposed to sunlight, obviously they are going to deflect the sunlight from the surface of the skin, so it does not interact with your skin. So one of the things that you have that are kind of pros to use mineral sunblock is that in Canada, in particular, a lot of them can be registered with Health Canada under natural product number, so NPN. So that actually gives validity to the company to actually put the claims of having sunblock included in their product. So many companies out there that say SPF on the bottle, you know that they probably contain larger amount of mineral sunblocks. Now, they are cheaper ingredients to produce with, of course, because they are extremely available. So, from a perspective of just simply on the bank for the companies, that is definitely something that is attractive. Now, zinc in particular offers a really good protection, but the cons of that is that, companies offer blocks with zinc, but obviously that causes casting. So a lot of people of color will find that it's very difficult to wear a sunblock such as this one, and they will avoid using it altogether. Now, some companies, of course, micronize these type of ingredients, so going to nano titanium dioxide. There are some arguments that by doing so, they sacrifice the potential for protection because they are not the chunks of the material, but rather small ones. Maybe they do not offer as much protection. So those are the type of things that are kind of the cons. The other thing very often that we see is that these type of blocks are not often very reliable. They can be moved by rubbing the skin. They can be sweated off. So obviously, reapplication with mineral block will be very, very important for the clients. And another thing that, can be kind of a turn off is that a lot of them are quite heavy in formula. I know companies have tried to figure out, they claim to have a see-through sunblock, clear sunblock, probably by micronizing the ingredients again, and that will lead to a previously stated issue. Now, I have a question. So Diana asked, what kind of sunblock can be used for my 10-year-old? Oh, very good question. And give me 1 second because I will bring on some of the questions in a moment. I just want to come back to this slide for a minute, if I might. And let me tell you a little bit more about chemical sunblocks also from the perspective of what's available in the North American market and what's available in the kind of, global market. So 2 monographed ingredients that are recognizable and definitely looked at by both the FDA as well as Health Canada is Availbenzone and Octanoxide. Those are 2 ingredients that have been used for a very long period of time. They are somewhat outdated by the perspective of some of the newer sunblocks. Especially Availbenzone not being, very photostable, so it causes irritation more. But somehow these 2 are the favorites to allow as a drug component in the sunblock. Remember the whole talk about cosmetic versus a drug. So North America is still pretty much, formulating with that, which really does not give the consumer a full range of products really to choose from. But if you look at some of the other markets, specifically European Union, you will notice ingredients like Usolex, Iscotrizinol, and Sulizol, and Tinasorb. Those are really the latest in technology of sunblocks. They are super good for your skin. They do not cause irritation. They do not cause burning. Many of them can be tolerated even by the sensitive skin. They obviously, a lot of companies come around the idea of, selling sunblock that is chemical by not putting the claim on the bottle, and just sort of your consumer will be made aware a little bit after, which is an unfortunate thing, but it is something that we do need to be aware of. Now, visible light protectors, of course, so now going to the visible range of light. we need to talk about this whole idea that actually came through the research in the last couple of years. It actually became more and more evident that people who suffer, especially from specific certain forms of hyperpigmentation like melasma, could benefit from filtering blue light, which is the visible, the light that you actually see with your eye. And what companies actually have been very actively searching for is ingredients such as iron oxide. Cheap ingredient, easy to find. If you notice, it comes in different variety of colors. So yes, you're probably guessing already, BB creams, CC creams, they contain these type of ingredients. And clients with melasma are encouraged to use them on top of their sunblock or sometimes in affiliation with sunblock in order to achieve a full sun and light protection. Okay, so just something, food for thought, something to really, really remember. Okay, so going back to Diana's question and kind of looking at some of the products within Dr. Schrammek range that are available. So remember, Dr. Schrammek is a European company. So a lot of the sun SPF factor will not be claimed on the boxes because we just simply cannot sell it with that claim. But you will be made aware that these do have some protection factors. So for example, Solar Protect Fluid is one of the product that is literally a sunblock in a bottle. This is one of my favorite products because of its texture. It has an extremely light texture that can be either put on the surface of the skin after moisturizer, or if your client is somebody who likes to eliminate steps of their skincare routine, it can be combined with a moisturizer, 1-to-1 ratio, then applied to the skin, or even put into a foundation if you like that. So this is definitely a sunblock that I find we sell more and more often. It is very popular with our clients, and it offers you an SPF protection. Now, this is, of course, according to European claims, SPF of 50 plus. Now, in Europe, when you see a 50 plus as a designation for sunblock, you actually can be made aware of the fact that this offers you a higher UVA protection. UVA are the rays of sun that do not burn, but cause more of the pro-aging effect in the skin. They actually break down collagen, elastin, and cause quite a bit of oxidative damage in the skin. So we're looking to filter those really, really fully. If you ever purchase a product from an Asian country, for example, you will notice that SPF PA+++ will also give you an idea of a higher or lower UVA protection. Okay, so just a little bit of a side note here. Now, Diana, to answer your question, what could your 10-year-old use? Sensiderm Sun Cream is the formula that definitely is more suitable for younger consumers. So younger children can definitely use it without any problem. It is a mixture of both chemical and mineral agents. And it is honestly it belongs to sensitive range of products. So we even have people who have disturbances in the skin using this product very, very easily. It does not cause any breakouts. Even if there was evidence for that, it does not do that, does not irritate the skin. And it is in a vehicle of a medium weight moisturizer, which also is really something that becomes very attractive to a lot of consumers out there. We do not use emulsifiers or homogenizers in this product. So this is a PEG-free product, which is fantastic because for clients with sensitive skin, PEGs are typically the type of agents that allow for overcoming of barrier of lipids. And people with sensitive skin have a very poor barrier production of lipids to begin with. So you don't want to do anything that disrupts that. And therefore, this product becomes very suitable to their range. But it will affect the actual composition of the product. The product will kind of look, and I know this is not a good comparison, but it will look a little bit like cottage cheese. So you almost have to, with the heat of your palm of your hand, you have to sort of redistribute the product to become homogenized and then apply it onto the skin. The other product that we have offers now an SPF protection of 20, soon to be SPF 30. They're actually increasing as of June. They're going to increase the SPF value in this product. And it is definitely used for younger consumers. So again, somebody from the area of adolescence can definitely use this. And it is optimum protection cream. This is also in a vehicle of very lightweight moisturizer. So not the most popular, to be quite transparent with us, because I guess the consumers of that age are a little bit less prevalent. but it is still a formula that Dr. Schrammek has been producing for a long period of time, and it has a nice long reception with clients out there. And of course, don't forget that when you're looking for iron oxides, you can also find them in our Blemish Balm. So combining any of the products together will give you a greater protection against the blue light. So if you have client with melasma or chloasma, encourage them to use a Blemish Balm on the surface or in combination with one of the sunblocks. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of food for thought. And I was trying to be as neutral as I can be in my discussion of sunblocks here. But I'm going to leave you with one more little aspect here to sort of pay attention to. So another factor of really good sun protection, one that we sometimes omit talking to clients about, is how much of the product to use. So there should be enough product that it can cover the skin completely, whether it will get absorbed or not. And of course, we're looking for, in many cases, the companies will, if you ask them, they will divulge the exact amount of micrograms per centimeter of the skin. So to achieve the full 50 SPF, 100 SPF, whatever it might be. So typically they will describe it as apply sufficient amount. So there has to be a visible amount, meaning a little tiny rice grain amount of sunblock will not go far. So we do have to be mindful of that, and we do have to translate this information to our clients. So leaving everything off, I just want to kind of give you an idea about some other efforts that Dr. Schrammek does in terms of other trends. So maybe not so much skincare trends, but trends overall. One of the biggest trends is obviously for companies to become more sustainable, more eco-friendly. And this is definitely a company that does this type of thinking. When they think about packaging for their products, for example, they will very often choose packaging that is either recyclable in most markets. I know they put things into plastic jars, but there's actually evidence and research that they have done themselves to show that plastic is more sustainable than glass. So this is why they actually go for that type of sustainability. And of course, always, if your client needs sort of a perspective of where this company came from, when you're thinking about the company's commitment to sustainability, ecological sourcing, ecological packaging, this company is not new to it. They have that commitment at the very beginning of the conception of the company. So with invention of super eco-sustainable production of green peel, they have been really at the forefront of that. As a company, they also do take a lot of initiatives. They actually partner up with international, really multi-platform type of organizations like Kiva that actually helps women achieve success and pretty much finance their business. So this is something that the company also does. Of course, in Germany, Germany is a little bit ahead of time when it comes to eco-sustainability to begin with. So you can see some of the points that actually the company also adheres to. So most employees come by train, for example. They manage most of the work digitally. They do not print as much as they used to, and so on and so forth. So really, it is a company that looks at the future as much as the present. So with that, I want to leave you. Hopefully this was a very exciting, I know for most part, everybody stuck by, so I think the reception was pretty good. Of course, if you need to reach out to us, you can definitely do this via our website, our email, which is sales@euro-essentials.com. Follow us on social media as well. We are present on Instagram as well as Facebook, multiple platforms there. And just to remind you, we do have a YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed to that yet, check it out. We have a lot of great past webinars that we've downloaded to it. We will also download this webinar. You will be able to rewatch it if you want to kind of get the information there one more time. That is really the place to be. So thank you very much for giving me an hour and a bit out of your time today. I hope everybody is staying safe and doing well. We should get through whatever the immediate situation is here pretty soon, and hopefully we'll be seeing each other face to face. Thank you very much. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Candice. I'll leave you and have a great afternoon.